Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting of June 9th. All members of council are present, and I'll now call the meeting to order, and it's 1 p.m. We'll start off with our land acknowledgement, please. We'll now have a moment of silent reflection. I will now ask members to declare any pecuniary interests. Councillor Burt.
Yeah, I just have to declare for R7, just as an adjacent landowner, we had received a notice from the county for the consent, and from the original consent, my husband had sent in some information about setbacks regarding wells and septics. And I think it will just be better if I just step out this time around.
Okay.
And there's.
Moving along, approval of today's agenda. May I get a motion to approve today's agenda as circulated or presented? Councillor Walsh. And Deputy Mayor Burt. All in favor? May I get a motion to approve today's agenda as presented? That's what I just did. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Sorry. And may I get a motion to adopt the regular council meeting minutes of the 26th as circulated and or amended? Councillor War.
Thank you. Through you presented.
Presented. And Councillor Hodge-Greaves. Comments? All in favor? Motion's carried also. Business arising from the minutes? Councillor Walsh.
Just for you, Mayor, I had actually reached out to Seamus and just regarding the last thing we spoke of, the memorandum of understanding between ourselves and the food bank, just kind of where we're at with that. We said that's still in the process of discussions back and forth, and it'll be coming forward at the next meeting.
Okay. Anyone else? No. Okay, moving on to the consent agendas. We have correspondence items C1 through C11, staff report R1, and Peterborough County OPP Detachment Board meeting minutes of February 9th. Do we have somebody to approve as circulated and or amended? Councillor War.
Thank you. Comment on C7, one.
7 and 1. Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I will second that, and I will also, if I can, comment on C2, C5, C6, and as well C7.
All right. Deputy Mayor Burt.
Yeah, C1, and I'm sure there'll be other conversation. All
the way, all through them all. All right, we'll start off with, I'd like to start off with C1 anyway, seeing we're right there.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to pull that. We also had an update at the last meeting at the county. And if you're getting any feedback, a lot of them are complete. There are some to finish. And they're saying, you know, they're 99.5% cell coverage in areas. We all know, unless you're a Rogers customer, you do not have 99.5% cell coverage. And that I was in Peterborough this morning, and that's very telling as I'm driving through Bensford Road or Keene or wherever it is. So that is the reason. Rogers has that contract. If you're a Rogers customer, you have that coverage. If you are not, chances are you won't have that coverage. EORN, as we know, really wants to promote that sharing co-use of cell towers. These are big businesses and they can't referee big businesses. So maybe eventually it will happen, but if you're talking to anybody, that's the reason, because I know I've got some questions on that, so.
Right.
that's-
If Bell was to get along with them, they would be added to
Exactly.
their towers, is
So
the moral of the
that's
story.
what's going on.
Moving along to C2. Councillor Ward?
I believe that one was Councillor Walsh.
Okay.
I was seven.
Yeah, I see too, just regarding that resolution support for sustainable provincial grant from fire services. If you read through it, 75% of fire services is volunteer. If you look at EMS and police, they do through stable and predictable funding that fire service doesn't. I really think that needs to be made aware that, you know, fire services is a pretty big part to service in our township, and as we all know, the cost of everything keeps going up, so any additional support that can be provided for fire service and municipalities, I think we should support.
Okay. Do you want to make that a motion?
I will make that motion that we support.
And
that.
second by Deputy Mayor Burt. Any further comments? All in favor? Support that motion. Moving along, C5. Did you have that?
Yeah, through you again there, through you, just regarding that, OFA, regarding food security farmland. That really does follow along with the motion that we had passed when it came to the high-speed ultra train, that we were making, everyone aware that, you know, concern of in our particular township, the potential impact it would have on farmland. So, I think the same thing, I would put a motion before to support that position.
Is there a seconder for that motion first? Councillor Hodge Greaves, comment?
Yeah, just a comment on that. So, I sent that, notice to Melanie to have that included on the agenda, and I just want to let you know that we do have another PCFA meeting tomorrow night, so there'll be some more updates from that, from the local group to see where things are going with that local, group, and if they have any more information locally, I will send that along to Melanie for the next agenda, so I'll be able to report on that after tomorrow night. Thank you.
All right, C7.
Thank you for you, Mayor. Yes, again, it's just, you know, the challenges that municipalities are having to fund things, and I would support this as well.
So you'll
Make that motion.
move to support, second by Councillor Walsh. Any further comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. Did I miss any?
Yeah.
R1?
Our one, yes, so they just let me get down to that. It was the report from RCO, Mike, if I may, through you, Mayor. It was, I saw that the 10-year capital projects is on the agenda coming up, and I was just wondering what we should expect with that.
Huge tax increases.
Oh, don't even say that.
No, we are going to do our best. We're working with all department heads to get their 10-year plans in place. I think Jordan has made some connections even around a provincial program for asset management planning to build down some aspects of an asset management plan. So we're just going to do our best to sort of show what 10 years, what our needs are for the next 10 years. I don't think we would ever promise or aspire to no tax increases, as much as we'd all love that. But our hope is that we develop a plan that would see stable, but rising, but not equalized, right? So if we can get manageable tax increases or a program that would result in manageable tax since that beautiful, so we're. You know, the department heads have been working on their own departments, our hope is that we can put those all together and. Show something to you that would give you a glimpse into. the future.
I see, if I may have one more question, so I see it's coming up on June 23rd. Is that enough time to get everything together, or may that be pushed back a little bit?
We probably will push it back at our meeting tomorrow. I know that we're still waiting. But so, I think that might be a little too aggressive, but especially because I think Jordan just recently made contact with the asset management group. We've seen a bunch and it's gonna help us with that aspect of it. So, yeah, it could end up in July.
Okay, thank you very much.
And also, Mike, those priorities could change in that 10 years, correct?
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt, just so everybody knows. So. Has that been passed? Can I have a motion to accept, we have the motion on the floor, I just need everyone in favor for the consent, all right, thank you. Delegations, we have no delegations today, so we'll move into the staff reports. We'll start off with R2 and an update of the Hannah frame. Seamus, you have the floor.
Is it blue?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So through you, Mayor, this report is the Hannah frame, so recommendation that the council of Asphodel-Norwood receives this report regarding the Hannah frame update. And further, that council selects option 2, but to sell the Hannah frame after given event. So further, the council direction staff are requested to investigate the costs associated with buying different beam attachments, as well as looking into the costs of potentially selling the frame. So in 2023, the township purchases frame with the Christmas bow from Classic Displays for just shy of $5,600. Frame has been used every year on the night of the holiday market. And then in 2024, this Hannah frame was added to the fees and charges for a fee of $50, including HST per event. And since this fee has been added, it has yet to be rented. So the next one is Classic Displays only have 2 beam attachments, that there's only 2 listed, but it just gives us a general idea. So the pumpkin, which is 2.5 feet or 2'5" by 2'8", is $599 with shipping and HST. It's just over $823. Same price for the Heart Mayfield. Obviously, if 2 were packaged together, you can shave on the shipping. You'll have one shipping instead of both. And then the cost of the solo frame. So this frame currently retails at about $55.45. Classic Displays also advised us that with it being 3 seasons, if we were to look to attempt to sell it, asking between $1,200 and $1,500 would be a reasonable price. They also were kind enough to let us know they're not interested in potentially buying it back, because I believe they have 14 in their house. So options to consider, we presented 4 options. So number 1, maintain status quo. Option 2 would be look to sell the frame after Canada Day. Option 3 would be look to buy different beam attachments. And option 4 would be keep the frame and reach out to other townships to see if they would be interested in renting from us. And then some items to consider while evaluating these options. So the Hannah frame occupies valuable storage space in this building. The one solution is potentially relocating it to Public Works. And then if it needs to be brought back for certain events, it can have to be brought right here. The frame's lighting feature is most effective during evening and nighttime. So a lot of the township events that potentially this can be used that are during daytime, so the lighting would be limiting the opportunity for the lights to be fully appreciated. If we did buy attachments, it would take some time to take down the Christmas bow, put up another one. If the frame was sold, staff would discuss with the buyer the possibility of renting from them to see if that was an option. Decision is made to retain the frame. Staff feel the best solution would be generating revenue from it, the revenue generated, then looking to use it to buy future attachments instead of investing more expensive now. So financial implications, Depending on which option selected, so option one, which is going to maintain the status quo, there's no financial impact. Option 2 and 4 would increase revenue, option 3 would increase expenses. After reviewing the options presented, staff recommend option 2, look to sell the hand frame after Canada Day. That said, staff will work diligently to complete any direction that is provided should another option be considered.
All right, council, what's your pleasure? Councillor Hodge-Greaves.
For the idea of selling the frame after Canada Day. Yeah, for all the reasons listed. And I think if it seems madness to buy things for it, so it's, I would recommend selling.
Deputy Mayor Burt.
Was that a motion?
Yeah, that was the motion to sell it. I put that on the floor.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, and your comment?
Yeah, I agree. I think even just from the storing and the storing aspect of it, it's going to get broken into them, you know, there's lots of issues. Just a comment, if the motion does not pass and people want to keep it with different attachments, certainly we have 2 local manufacturers in the township that I'm sure could do attachments at a fraction of the cost. So if that's the way the vote goes, that's what I would look into. But I for selling this and certainly reaching out to, you know, local wedding venues or, you know, tent rental places that are local as well. I know we have a procurement and disposal policy, but maybe making them aware if we do sell it, that they are aware of that. And to me, that is where something like this should be.
Okay, Councillor Ward.
Thank you for your Mayor. Yeah, the cost of putting the attachments in, that's pretty disappointing. And I think Deputy Mayor Burke had a good point that sometimes a local vendor could make them and manufacture those attachments. And I agree, there is a wedding farm venue that is in our township. But I would reach out to that venue in South Pond. Like they're local and they may be able to do something like that for a wedding venue.
All right, we'll bring it to the floor then. Those in favor? All right, that motion's passed. Seamus, thank you. We'll move along to R3, low-flying aircraft signage at Asphodel 7 and 8 line. Jeff Walden, Public Manager or Manager of Public Works and Environmental Services, go ahead.
Mayor, Mayor and Council, when this popped up, it was actually a missing link for claims trans, this is for true. Anyways, it's a federal requirement, for the families to have signage posted on rural roads at either end of the runways. As we're aware, I don't know the future, I don't have any idea what the scope is out there, but has been some law side. I noticed, I think last fall, new windsock popped up, and that was the first one to go, I was there before, so. I know the intention is to revitalize the runways, so anyways, yeah, they're looking at that. I think it's an inspection thing that they have to go through and actually boxes that will be tracked with the proper signage installed. And I thought it was best to bring a report to council because I know if I get in the neighborhood and saw those flying aircraft and on top of it, would be a bit empty, so it will start some chatter, I'm sure. So it's, like I said, it is a federal requirement. The signage has been purchased and the request was being put out. It just saves it saves WSIB and third party insurance that we just work around the laws as opposed to somebody else locally that the signs on it doesn't take long to put out before signs. So anyways, yeah, mostly for informational because I'm sure it will spend some time. They're not an observation, it's just a typical 24-inch regulatory system. So it's not an huge frame usage of condos. And how do we answer your question?
Okay, Councillor Ward.
Thank you, through there. Yes, thank you for this. I did see the windsaw as well. And this is not our project, that we, you know, they're trying to comply to federal, yes, requirements. I was just wondering, would there be an opportunity? I know the signage will go up, maybe to communicate with nearby neighbors, just to send put a flyer into the mailboxes of those on the 7th and the 8th concession that's happening. Or is that not in our wheelhouse at all to do something like that?
I think it's usually not that, sometimes has the biggest reaction. Yes, for sure, I think it's a big issue, I don't have any details to share, if they want more, I should add in the future here.
Well, maybe just to say that if nothing has changed with that zoning, that, you know, it's always been, it's never lost. It is never lost it. It's just that communication piece, so that we aren't getting that chat of what the heck's happening. That, you know, is that zoning's there, they're allowed to do it, and we're just putting the signs up for everyone to be aware of. I just think that communication piece makes things go smoother for everybody, if possible.
Absolutely.
All right, council, I'll get a motion to authorize staff to install the low-flying aircraft signage within the road allowance at the appropriate location once confirmed.
And could you add in the communication piece?
And the communication will be put along to the people on the 7th and 8th line.
I will put that on the thing.
Okay. And Deputy Mayor Burt. Any further comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. Jeff, you can continue on.
Great.
R4,
Just follow on. For the greater, the greater kind of for proposed. As requested, council asked to do a little more what their options, looking at using possible contracting. So yeah, I'll just coming back with the information that we can find. Thanks, Council Walsh, for picking up on it. I did that. I said that I did that. I did the greater actually sold however, unless I did the lab financing and some financing did change. Basically where the biggest impact of the report was when we discussed kind of the contractor versus the financing costs is where you see it. So the financing costs go down. But we'll get there. So yeah, we kind of the first part of the report was based on the last report was on like all finance the greater bid. So you can see the two bids that were there, the 654,000 and 691,000 with the recommendation for Brent Tractor or John Deere. Jordan did complete the financing and you know we can have it posted up so we see on what the 654,000 option one would be. So yeah, the monthly payments of 10,540 as opposed to what we had saw. So that also difference with the annual cost. I know it was very bad. We'll still see different costs. Anyways, moving on to kind of past the new stock and looking at some of the news options. I just dealt with Brand John there. I thought it was fair because that's they were located a process and they have a social catalog of who's equipment. The other part side is the digital post, but it is quite an inventory. And then when I got pages upon pages used to credit, they would kind of try to reduce it to look at more close to the spec that we were looking for. And then I maybe pick a half dozen and present my council, and I just thought it was probably easier just to put all the numbers in front of you, and kind of get a feel of what the new market looks like, even though it just goes to coast. As discussed a little bit in the report and some of the council questions coming this week, there was really no set rate for anything that we purchased used that was in other province. As far as logistics, the vendors try to use their brokers. They want to backhaul a lot of times if they're trying to move equipment. They'll catch somebody that's looking for a load, so they generally get pretty good rates as opposed to specifically sending loads that they will get something. They'll try to catch somebody, so they didn't really have a solid number on rates. And then also the vendor did say, some of the pricing, it's just for budget purposes, so there is movement, within those prices, so if they don't be filed in it. For the years dollar because, like I said, just for budget purposes. So it is impressive to see just how many use cases there are for sure and in all shapes and sizes. So yeah, some of them, it's hard. Yeah, and some of them have wings, some don't. Little things that I know along the way with the grader control, just things that graders have to keep the percentage of the copper and help it off there. So you'll see the little acronyms amongst the descriptions. So I think that I didn't get much farther than this specific piece. It was just for review and see if anything wants I for discussion today. On that, and then I did cover, used equipment, some of the pros and cons, definitely go, they are cheaper and shorter finance, in turn, or cheaper finance. Dealer does provide a report on the machine, what they've done, but they do go into once over, through their shop, and they bring the used piece. That being said, there is no warranty on used equipment off the boat. But any extended warranty that was purchased for the machine, travels with the machine or the direction. So if there's a couple extra things, so extended warranty and later use the machine and that extended warranty was stay. And again, some of the cons, the lower hours, 30,000, 4,000 hours, that probably accumulates to probably 3 or 4 years of usage for us that we would use that 20-year lifespan. When you're trying to keep at low hours, somewhere at 4,000 hours. What we typically put on, of course, these don't be no municipal discounts. And then, anything that's not out for the snow equipment was loaded by $100,000 to probably all the equipment home was with that. So that's just something to keep in mind, and it doesn't have snow equipment with it. As for the price that was tendered, that was all inclusive. The 654, that was complete with smoke. Then we jumped into contract services. It was such a, it was a challenge. I just based it on the hours that we probably run our own grader. Tried to manipulate it a few different ways to minus winter, with winter, good years, bad years. Very similar to trying to guess what winter's going to be like. It's sad, we never know. But last year was relatively easy. We had the drivers driving conditions. So once we got our calcium chloride in July, then we didn't get a lot of rain from fall. So we had a pretty light grading much to get back out on the calls. This year, it's starting to rain tonight. It looks like all in next week. So you don't know what some is going to rain, how it's going to impact the rules. With that, some targets we can hit. Calcium chloride, along that rates, and typical spring gradings to the first couple outings. Construction season, which we have projects, we know basically how many hours roughly we can put on that, but there is a lot of new grades. So I think the best thing on that, kind of pick the median. If contracting was down paper contracting, some of the higher years were all over 200,000, and some of the lower years were below 200,000. So we kind of pick a median of 200,000, we started as a total number, if that was, the appetite to go that way. Just as a cycle, and see how it goes for the first year. I think, I did that in the total, but I think for snow equipment, much like the Asphodel contracts, so they're 11-year contracts. So I think if we were tendering out for a contract service, and we were interested in doing winter operations as part of that, I think it would have to be a multi-year contract. We'd probably be looking like a minimum 5 years with 2 1-year extensions or something like that to make it feasible for somebody who doesn't have snow equipment to possibly look at purchasing snow equipment to go even if they didn't have. A lot of road guys don't have some fish with snow equipment because they're target owner, but then on the flip side of that, there's a lot of graders that just focus on year two. There's a lot of contractors that just have graders for that. If you're familiar with it by, is it some name in Sherwood? So the yard there, I think it's just 4 graders, so we're putting them on, must be a contractor crowns, and that so they are, And again, I try to break it down, basically financing versus contract, and that's what I said, that the biggest impact in this report would be with the annual cost of 135, which would be a lesson impact based on the grader of 654 and not the grader that was sold. And then again, against the 6-year financing, I just put on that, so. And again, focused on at the end of the 6-year term for finance, not going to done in repairs and maintenance and fuel from there on. Whereas contracting continues on till we decide to do something different, so. Not too much summed it up. Again, it's such a, there's so many little bits and pieces to it that I think it's just easier that we're on the table and we can have a conversation with it. There's a lot, I know there's a lot of information that's not there, bits and pieces. And it's great that I do love the council questions, coming during the week that helps fill some of those gaps. You know, I'm really happy with.
Answer any questions? Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be many. Questions. I'll start. So through you, Mayor. And just for a preface of that, we're not trying to be difficult with. There's some hard questions because it's a big price thing. So we obviously understand and need to have a greater, it's just trying to find what is potentially the best option. So first question I have is probably more for Jordan. From a reserve standpoint, if we, no matter whichever option, the contractor option, obviously we will need reserves for dumping out, but is there any reserve that have been set aside for greater over the last few years that we could use towards if we decide to go immediate use as a down payment on it?
Through you, Mary, yes, there has been some money, I can confirm it after this, it's been set aside specifically.
Okay, so that's question number one. If I may, got a couple more.
I think Jordan's got another.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just, through the budget process, the approval was for the lease with the intention to that maybe some of those reserves that were put aside for the grader can be used for the grader or eventually a tandem truck or something like that.
Okay.
I can confirm no problem.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So I'm a visual person, so just so for me, I'd love to see a chart that showed buying new, buying used, contracting, what the cost of each of those on their own are to buy. Underneath that, I'd love to see, so if we go contract, we're not paying for fuel. So that would be on the other two options, we would be paying for fuel, so it would include fuel costs. I know maintenance is a tough one, you know, just what the average maintenance costs annually has been in the last 5-6 years. Plunk that under the new and under the used one, because we wouldn't have that with contractor. Repairs, fuel, insurance. Those are just some things, it just kind of helps me try and visualize what is the best, right? It's a big price tag. My concern with, you know, love to buy a new one. Couple things that come to mind, it's like $11,000 a month, which is like 140, it's over $100,000 a year, but it's like 2% on the tax. Yeah, for everything. So, and maybe that hopefully will be the best option, we gotta go. The other concern I have or thought is, we buy brand new, it would last us 20 years, the question becomes, would we need a grid for 20 years? I know, Mayor, you're looking through with all the municipalities, potentially looking at a chip and tar option down the road that maybe we won't need a grader for 20 years. Maybe we only need one for 5, 6, 7 years that may be going used, may become a viable option. So I'm really struggling with trying to find the best, what is the best decision. But those are just some of my initial thoughts is if we kind of map those all out, kind of see the bottom line, what all those look like from an impact standpoint. For me, that would help me be able to make a better decision.
Deputy Mayor Burt.
Thank you. I'm not going to repeat what Councillor Walsh just said because I had those same notes. Yes, we're not trying to be difficult, Jeff. I think you know that. So one of my questions is, and I know coming from that equipment background, it is extremely time consuming to look through used equipment and define the ones you're looking for with the specs. So in addition to what Councillor Walsh had just said about the chart with the expenses of maintenance and fuel and everything else. would you be able to say, take 6? And hopefully they maybe be from Ontario, but that would meet the specs, 6 used ones that you would meet the specs that you are looking for, or close to the specs. And then, you know, that would narrow that down. Maybe there isn't one out there that has the specs you want. I don't know. And I know it takes a lot of time. It really does. I've been really torn on this. We need a grader. We know that. Hopefully, well, I don't think any of us will be sitting around the table in 20 years. Hopefully at that time, you might be sitting at this table, Jack.
Okay.
We won't need a grader because maybe all of our roads will be hard top by then. I don't know. I think another option that we have said around the table several times, and I realize it's tricky to do, is what are other nearby municipalities doing with their equipment? You know, as far as graders go. You know, from a municipal standpoint, hours on equipment is not high. It's very different from the public sector where, you know, if you're spending $800,000 on a piece of equipment, that piece
Running.
of equipment isn't shutting down. It's going all the time. So that's just another thought. I know it's tricky because everybody needs the grader at the same time. So that might not even be an option. Yeah, I don't really have anything else other than what Councillor Walsh had suggested, but I don't have a decision today. That's where I'm standing, because I think I need some more information, so I'll leave it to the rest of council to discuss.
Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the comments that the 2 previous people have stated, because they were some of the same questions as I had. And thank you for answering my questions earlier. I did send out a list to Jordan and Jeff for some clarification. And just because at the council table, we don't always ask the same questions. If I may, I did ask, what were the historical costs for the last 9 years? Because I thought that's important, because I know this piece of equipment has given us some grief. But for the last, from 2016 to 2025, the cost in total were 213,000 that we put in. So that's about, say about 25,000 per year over, which I think when you're looking at big pieces of equipment, you're gonna have breakdowns. So, and another, I did ask some other questions, if I may repeat what you said. I asked how much it costs for the gas to put in, because in your report, you had stated it's one of the most costly pieces of equipment to run. And you said it's 250 liters per day based on current pricing. That would be 360 days in gas alone to run that piece of equipment. That would be on top of, obviously, the operator and those costs. And it's just important for us to know, like, as I said, I agree, like, we just need the information to make decisions. And my other question was, because this is a high ticket item, what is the next thing coming down, next thing? And you're right, we did have some reports from you before what the next piece of equipment is. And you said that it was the tandem plow. And that's gonna be $450,000 based on today's that's another big ticket item. I don't know if there is used for both, maybe we could do it for the total, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I would like shiny and new as well, like I understand. And I would be more in favor of the new if it wasn't just a 1 year
Warranty.
Like even a, you know, you have a car that has 5 year bumper to bumper or whatever for 100,000 K. Well, I know that's totally different. But like a 1 year warranty just seems like so low, like it,
Can you purchase further?
you said you could, but you said it was very costly.
Yeah, I think, Mayor, you can buy a single part, like, that's how. There's numerous packages and what you want. You can buy their bumper, powertrain, engine, and just transmission, hydraulics. There's lots of different options in there. It's, but yeah, they do that now, for example.
And if we do send this back, you know, for more information, I would really like to have something in that report, what an extended warranty would look like. That, you know, one that may be beneficial with what has broken down in the past. maybe find out what the warranty does cost. Because maybe this savings going forward with breakdowns. That's just where I am. I feel like I need more information, but that's just.
The problem with the extended, as Jeff has said, is the price of it. And if you look at the things that did break down here in the last few years, that's on a grader that's almost 20 years old too. So it's the back end of that grader that's going. Councillor Hodgkrees.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Thank you, yeah, for also answering my questions. The one thing I'm struggling with what the right choice is. We do need a grader. When I'm speaking to Jeff, I asked how many gravel roads do we still have left? We do have a lot, and we know it's not the road stock, it's still gravel, so I feel it's ambitious to say that we won't need a grader in 20 years, considering we have taken 4 years to pave some roads, so I feel that we will need a grader for the lifespan of a new one or a used one. But it is a lot of money, and I don't know, I'm afraid. I don't know, I've been struggling, I've been thinking about it, but it's a huge thing, but we need one, so I don't know. But
Thank you, Mayor. I think, I know sort of treating or trying to take it from push you at that, like out of the 5 years time, we'll need a greater. I think whatever we purchase, I think we just look at it as expensive life in that bigger community. It's very cheap. Not, I mean, if you're not, we're still going to have construction for a certain treatment, and you can contract that as part of your tender. But I have a price to off them to 7.85 MC and so it will really increase the construction costs. And I think we have to remember that it is a big part of our local maintenance. We just discussed snow fencing, and they're not driven, and not greater attention from that. So, I think there's a few points that you're not going to have us to be greater than 5 years or 10 years or 14 years.
No.
I think you would just look at it and you have one that's just going to extend its life savings.
All right, council, would it? Yes.
Question. And I know this grader is nearing the end of its life, and it has given us a number of issues, especially over the last handful of years. I know it will be used extensively coming up right shortly as the roads are done. And I think it's just prudent for council to remember, it will take a bit of time, whatever decision we make to get a grader, whether it be new, used, or whatever direction we're going in. But be prepared, because we may have some more breakdowns, and the longer we put this off, the more expenses there's going to be. So if we want another report back, I think we as a council have to be prepared that in 2 weeks' time, or whenever Jeff has a report ready, we have to make a decision. So I think it can only come back one more time if that's the decision today, but be prepared in 2 weeks. It's
To make a decision.
Because we know we can't wait any longer. So that's just my opinion. So.
See, Mayor, it's also part of that, and actually, possibly yesterday, the challenges, some of their questions, but the other thing is, as far as we shop it in, we need it, it's going to be delivered in the winter time, and you're going to torch 6 months of warranty, just sitting shop 2 weeks, so it's something else.
Right. Okay, council, would anyone like to put a motion on the floor providing direction and whether to proceed with the purchase of a new or a used grader or further explore contracting out services? Councillor Walsh.
I would put a motion on the floor that we table this report, I'm gonna follow along with what Deputy Burt said, that we table this one last time to gather just some additional information that we can, and that we need to be prepared, when we're armed with that information next meeting to make a decision from a standpoint that, again, Deputy Mayor said, it's going to take time, and we don't really want to be burning the airport, but we don't want to be burning the warrant in the winter when it's up in these so extents. Yeah, we need to make a decision, but just, I think we all just, need all this information.
Okay. So Councillor Walsh has made that motion. Seconder, Councillor War. Any further comments, discussions? All in favor? Motion's carried. Jeff, Thank you. Jeff, you can still have the floor. Group purchasing tender curbside collection 2027.
Right, council, Mayor, most of this is trying to require a new business.
I know, I wondered myself.
So, we were approached by, Austin West, and, kind of spearheaded this one, and as well as going on, because we're all very close to very similar needs for, curbside collection. And a lot of rural, whereas in between doesn't rural so much, so we have very similar scenarios. Our contracts are all due this December, and we're kind of looking at it as a standpoint as maybe, the smaller is a little better, as a smaller contract, maybe just 3 of us, as opposed to the massive county, and maybe scaring away potential vendors that, it's too much for that to do, so maybe staying as a smaller group and trying to achieve better numbers and maybe attract some different vendors to the table that might be interested. We did touch on the green waste again, and that's just, there's more, I don't want to scare everybody, because I know it's a scary number, and we're trying to work through other things right now, and that is kind of and over and above. And I forgot, as I was answering the questions this week, I forgot every time you mentioned, I haven't worked with county by moments. I'm looking at that, so I think that would be a big help for us for some of our green waste needs. And I did say that during the meeting, but I think that's going to be, I love this. It's just, it's just a good way to search, research, and get numbers for see. So I'm a big fan of visual stuff, and that's what we asked for this. It's just have a fresh number on a smaller scale as opposed to the massive county contract. So, but the primary focus is for curbside collection for us. And we would have had a tender anyways. We extended it last year for 1 more year. That was the last year of the extension for the contract. So we will be tendering in the fall regardless. So we thought we would go to and see what happens and maybe get better pricing. And we were very clear that we don't want to change our collection days or so we want to maintain the same service in 10 days that we have. So I know it's gone to last time's council, and we just wanted to make sure that we're getting it second, and so we thought we should bring it as well with some of the local humans.
Deputy Mayor Burt.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Yes, thanks for answering my question quickly, because I felt like doing it all over again. So I certainly, if we can get a contracted price that works for all 3 of us and there's savings to be had, I'm all for it. Just a question that may or may not somewhat be related to this. Have you heard any chatter about the province making green waste mandatory within the next number of years? I've kind of heard it, but I just didn't know in your channels if you've heard that.
Yeah, to be fair, I have heard chat, surely, food waste will mandatory. So we're there, the hard line on us, and we'll have to do something. So it is exciting that the county wants to revisit homes. Of course, I think that would be a great help. It's a transportation too, so I think that'll help as well. But yeah, potentially looking at a curbside situation like this at some point. But I think it's good that anytime we can get these bracket numbers like this, just to keep it in mind, as we're preparing our budgets, and we have an opportunity to get fresh pricing for green waste and curbside collection, to get that, because we probably will be doing it in the next.
Yeah, because my concern is if we wait until that's mandated and we have to do it, I think you're gonna see the prices skyrocket. If we can sneak in under the radar a little bit earlier and be proactive, I think it's a good idea, but we'll just see where that ends up. So thank you.
Any other comments for Jeff? And I could just add, with a lot of the recycling that was taken away from the province, like your municipal buildings, your schools, your food banks. I'm not schools were included in that too, I think. And other buildings. The problem with a lot of that right now is that waste is being picked up in the garbage and all the recycling is going in there now. And it's all going to dump sites. It never used to go to the dump sites, but it's going there now when the province put that back on business owners themselves. Thank you, Jeff. Council, can I get a motion, please, that recommends that the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood receives this report, and further the council supports staff in collaborating with relevant neighboring municipalities to develop a joint request for proposals for curbside garbage and organics collection services. Councillor War, Councillor Hodge Greaves, all in favor? Motion's carried. Jeff, are you getting so laryngitis yet? You can carry on with Wellington Street, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, unfortunately, the delegation meeting that was, but we've been working on, looking at a long-term solution for Wellington Street. And we did achieve some numbers. We were kind of waiting just to make sure the entire reporting wasn't low. And I was looking at both Circuit Street and Onyx Avenue. So we did receive the pricing, for Wellington Street. Well, to kind of go hand in hand with the construction there this year, it will just make sense. I'm working, collaborating with contractors who are reporting to us, Trade Brothers. We reviewed the street together, and there is some storm sewer and some drainage improvements that can be done. We can do with our own forces, very minimal cost, and that would be absorbed by the operating budget in our culvert budget. There's enough room there to purchase a catch basin and the piping needed, and of course we have our own gravel and things like that to bring that into place. I was legitimately impressed with the pricing received. I was explained to the mayor this week. We had a pricing on some patches. 6 line with a big holes for replacement for $20,000 last year. So I was, I think we're gonna look at doing those this year. It was a bit steep, so I don't even digress within the Circuit Street post, but I was legitimately surprised with 150 meters of asphalt for 26,500, and that's grading as well. So I think that's a good price, and it comes down to mobilization and demobilization, and all the insurance is already in place, and they're there already. So I think it's just an addition to the county report. With that being said, we did discuss in the doctrine, there's a very budget-friendly contractor for the service unit this year, and I think we will have a service cost when it's all said and done. However, construction things do happen very much like the soft electric, maybe on the 8 line was unknown. The biggest cost of that was the geotechnical cloth that we're putting in. That was an additional $4,500, which the budget was supporting. We have a room in our service shooting for that, but there is unknown things. And again, it's important with quantities. Their desktop exercises for gravel and surface treatment rates and like that. So in the field, sometimes if it's an extra 6 inches or a foot here or there, it does all out with quantities. Really just kind of as best they can. So at the end of the day, I think we're going to have surplus. But I thought as the recommendation, I thought just to cover in case when we do get in, if there's any interest in using reserves. I know we want to reserve very hard. We have some other things coming down the pipe as well, but I think the timing was I tried to compare to the circuit treatment and not a great difference. 10 up with that, that's a 7 product base, I guess, at 5 product. So that extra expenditure will definitely extend by how much longer. Tracking that as we get a great deal of use. Anyways, I'm happy to answer any question.
Any comments, questions? Councillor Walsh?
Yeah, sure, Mayor. Well, thank you very much, Jeff, for bringing this forward, because this has been a bit of a hot topic, 2026. With some residents coming forward and that for valid reasons. The one question I did have I wasn't clear on is, so if we were to proceed, what happens to Baker Street? Is it going to get put on hold?
Nothing, Baker Street would continue with.
We'll get done. Okay, so I wasn't sure whether we were switching one for the other.
Yeah, and I think I actually some questions. I did look at that during the time last year as we did look at Wellington Street. But it's a Baker Street kind of goes for it because it's a gravel surface which it really should rectify. So that's kind of and it was half the cost and so you get that sealed up and kind of catch yourself. So that's why Baker Street was added on, not Wellington Street. Again, and as explained in the report, dragging a little bit with the future of the development behind there and, you know, when you like to kind of go into and have something outside, you can see, so we're kind of waiting to see what unfolds there, so. There is no argument with that, as science, you know, it's useful life for sure.
All right, council, I'll read the recommended motion that the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood receives this report, and further that council approve the use of any potential surplus funds within the 2026 capital surface treatment budget to complete the work. And further that should there be any insignificant surplus funds available, council approve the use of the public works reserves in whole or in part to cover the construction costs. Can I have a mover, please, for that? Deputy Mayor Burt, Councillor Hodge-Greaves. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, Jeff. Moving along, council, we have a consent application B426A, Chief Building Official and Planning Coordinator, Ed Whitmore, you have the floor. And Deputy Mayor Lori Burt has left the room.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I've got 22% battery life, it's going fast. Speed rating dash. County Land Division is the authority with respect to severances, and the county would our comments. We did have a consent application B-4-26 and B-5-26 brought to council in February. We recommended that they not be approved because they're undersized and a few other items. We've now been circulated with an amended application. Else behind my plug in my PC. So they amended the application to get rid of one lot and blend the two lots into one. So now they meet the size for minimum size for zoning. And they should comply with the many issues. I can pretty much remember everything. Footprint. So, anyways, so both lots are merged into one lot now that they're proposing. And so on our municipal appraisal form, we have $1,250 fee will be paid to us to parkland. There's a $450 fee to take care of septic inspections to make sure the retaining lot has the septic tank and bed on the retained portion, and that it meets the setbacks as per the interior building code. And then there'll be a test hole done on the starboard lot to make sure that we can get a septic in there. It shouldn't be an issue, but again, we will want those fees and we'll want to do those inspections. County will put those as a condition of their severance. Generally, anything that we ask for, they always do that. So
Right.
I've never not seen them do that. I'm happy to answer any questions. This lot now does comply with all the rules. They're not undersized. I would recommend it. So, and it is in a built-up area, a little settled area. It's not taking away farmland.
Council questions, Councillor War?
Thank you through you, Mayor. Yeah, no, it's a nice lot. I drove past there, and so there's no problem with the easement, over the last part of that. Is there a valve easement along that one side? So that won't impact anything with what's being done where the lot's being settled.
Yes, through you, Mayor. With the easement, they're not allowed to build under it or on it. So the setbacks, they can come up to it depending on if they meet the zoning setbacks. And so as long as they stay away from it, and it's a huge 1 acre, better than an acre parcel. So there's easily you can get 1,000 or 2,000 square foot.
You know, just one more question if I may.
Go ahead.
So with an entrance, from there, the entrance would come off on the east side of the lot? Like it wouldn't come off on the one that would go up the hill, it would come off on the east facing road?
Yes, through you, Mayor, I did speak with Public Works on the entrance for the first two lots that were being proposed. And they said if the lots were off the lower part, which is called, I think, Indian Road, then there's no issues with sight lines and everything's fairly flat there. So it would be good, but if not, they would not approve them going up that very steep hill there on North Indian Road.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Any further questions? Councillor Walsh?
And just for everybody, because I asked this question, because I wasn't sure that we need to include the conditions in the motion. And when I spoke to Ed, he said that's actually on the municipal appraisal form, is around those septic inspections being done, so that is in there, and you said for the most part, county would never, our experience in the past, county would never renew those sites with plated staying there.
Yes, through you, Mayor, I've never seen them not change or ever seen them change our recommendation.
Yeah, and they're important, what they need to be done, so.
They are.
Okay.
Okay, council, thank you, Ed. I'll read the recommended motion that the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood accepts this report, and further the council recommends the amended consent application B-4-26A, and further the council directs staff to submit the municipal appraisal form to the Peterborough County Land Division. Councillor Laura?
Recorded vote.
Florida vote. Seconder, Councillor Walsh.
Councillor War,
Yes.
Mayor Wilford,
Yes.
Councillor Hodge-Greaves,
Yes.
and Councillor Walsh. Motion is carried.
Okay. Could somebody go out and let Deputy Mayor Byrd in again, please? And that motion was carried. Thank you, Ed. And last, we have R8 countywide joint community safety and well-being plan. Melanie, you get to proceed this time.
Just one moment.
Yes,
Thank you.
take your time.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. So as council knows, municipalities are required under the Safer Ontario Act to develop and adopt a community safety wellbeing plan. So back in 2022, the township adopted a plan with the townships of Cavan, Monaghan and Otonabee South Monaghan. And annually, council receives updates on the progress made towards that plan. And in our most recent update, it was noted that there's been some discussions happening behind the scenes at the county level and amongst the lower tier municipalities about transitioning to a county-wide plan. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of the identified priorities in these plans extend the reach of any one municipality. So for a plan like this to be meaningful, there needs to be action across all levels of government and supported by our community partners and service groups and service providers as well to make this plan be what it's intended to be. So the timing of these discussions has actually been quite helpful because under Ontario Regulation 414/23, municipalities are required to not only review these plans every 4 years, but also adopt a new one if need be. So here's where I want to give a little thanks to our county clerk for, well, A, recognizing the need that this needs to be done quite soon as we're at the 4-year mark now, but also that a lot of the lower tier municipalities are busy with elections this year. So Carrie and her team not only took those discussions as what they were and produced a plan that you have in the agenda package today. So many thanks to Carrie and her team for that. And I know that the mayor and deputy mayor saw a draft of that plan at county council and included in your package today. But essentially there's the county overarching goals, and then each municipality has an appendix at the back of the plan with individual goals and supporting actions that are supportive of those overarching priorities. So today, what we're looking for is council's endorsement of the plan and to receive any feedback that you may have. The hope is to adopt the countywide plan by July 1 of this year so that we're in compliance with that OREG. And I think that's coming up at the next county council meeting, so not the one tomorrow, but
No.
the one June 24th. So I'm happy to take any questions or feedback of council to bring back to the community level, but that's what we're hoping for today.
Councillor Walsh.
I'm saying, and I had reached out and, thank you very much, Melanie, for bringing this report forward. It's important that we have it. The one question I had was probably around emergency preparedness. I think from our perspective, when the director went through, we really didn't have a lot of services that we provide to residents, and we heard that feedback back, which is great to have hear back. When the ice storm went through a couple of years ago, we had the community center opened up. People could come have a shower, they could actually come get a meal, they could come charge their phone, they could just come and socialize and hang out with other people versus sitting at home alone. And I really think that was a great move on our behalf, and I'd like to make sure that we continue with that. And I guess the question is, this came up, I was at the Teeny Tiny Summit, actually, Mayor Wilbur and I were there a couple of weeks ago, and it was presented as one of the things when crisis had happened, it was out of Lakeville, it was Lakeville United Church, and they called it a comfort zone, and I love that term. It really is a place where people come and be able to, get food, water, and drink, and be able to socialize. So I'm just wondering, I'm fully behind the plan, as long as there's a way that we can, I think, educate. I know one time ago, maybe we put signs at the end of every concession. I'm not sure that's feasible, but what about even with that, just from an education awareness standpoint, can we drop it into water bills, tax bills, just to make the community aware that any time of need that power is down for, what do we call it, 24 hours or beyond, that we do have a service that we can, a comfort zone place that we can provide.
Absolutely.
Yes. Deputy Mayor Burt.
Thank you, through you. And yeah, I guess a little bit of background as well. Originally, a number of the townships were in with the city of Peterborough, and over the course of the plan, it's certainly come to light that the differences between the city of Peterborough and the surrounding townships, it's a huge divide. Like there really are a lot of differences, and it didn't make sense to stay with the city of Peterborough. And I think doing this county-wide and then having the each township have its own page or appendix, I think it's important. So I certainly I like the way this has been done. And yeah, thank you to all of the clerks and the clerk of the county and the team for getting this together. And again, it's a living document. It's always reviewed, and as we, continue on, if you have any ideas, they can be added, changed the next time.
Yes.
So thank you.
And if you look at it all at a county perspective, but then look at it as our own municipality, a lot of this stuff is based off our municipality and the three clerks that did this originally. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I thought this was a great document, and could see your footprint from the beginning. One of the things I was looking at was the county profile page, and under the community priorities, access to healthcare was number one. And I just want to say Asphodel-Norwood is far beyond most of our
Neighbors.
Neighboring communities. So it was nice to see that is the number one community priority is access to healthcare. And it's just, I think it's one that we can be proud of some of the things that we've initiated here in Asphodel-Norwood.
Well, thank you, Melanie. And I'll read the recommended motion and that the council endorse. Council, can I get a motion endorsing that the draft countywide joint community safety and well-being plan and directing staff to forward any comments or request revisions to Peterborough County for consideration? Deputy Mayor Burt, Councillor War. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Moving along with correspondence for action, C12. Resignation from the Business Advisory Committee. Can I get a motion accepting Ms. Sprott's resignation and asking staff to send a letter of thanks for her service to our community? Councillor War, Councillor Hodge-Greaves, all in favor? The motion is carried. D13, a donation request from the Peterborough County Plowmen's Association. Would anybody like to make a motion? Deputy Mayor Burt,
Yes, to,
okay, motion to give. And Councillor War, I think it was.
Thank you.
Any comments?
Just a comment.
Yes,
So the $200 donation, great, we've done this for a number of years now. And I was just wondering, if at the next time we might get a report of where we stand with our donation line going forward, if that communication needs.
addition, okay.
Thank you.
Any further comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. And lastly, C14, utility bill discrepancy from Mandy and Jeff Bryan. Before a motion is put forward, I'd like to ask our treasurer to speak about the matter. Jordan, if you could, please.
Thank you, through your mayor.
Yeah.
Through your mayor. You're familiar with the letter, this is from Andy Jet Prime. So we were contacted back in March, after Andy Jet received, the wastewater, invoice that was 25. Our water and wastewater clerk and our water and wastewater manager had open discussion with Andy Jet after they contacted the office, inquiring about the reasons for the high, bill. So we did work directly with them to try to get forward on the meter. They did provide a meter usage, I think it was March 19th. We asked them to send a follow-up on March 20th, which they did. And at that time, we had assumed, given the usage from the data being in contact with them to check for potential leaks, we thought the situation would be a leak issue consistent with what we've seen in the past. Versus the March 20th photo we got of the water usage, it was at 0.5 cubic meters for that 24-hour span, or roughly 24-hour span, which is consistent with what we see for family usage. So we assumed that a leak or whatever the issue was that was potentially causing the high usage was corrected. After that, again, the water, utility clerk and Adam had discussions with Jeff, I believe, and perhaps Mandy. Regarding the issue, it was alleged that maybe we had the ability to manually control meters. We don't, we should have to meet with the company, as verified with the, or verified with them, I verified with me, and we all do have the ability. Right now, we assume it's a leak. However, we are working with the meter company to come up with a potential solution to determine if we can identify the exact date that the leak was started to occur, what was potentially causing the issues. So from the township office standpoint, that we didn't manually impact anything technical with the meter. We haven't been past incidents, and we can confirm this. They are consistent with what we've seen from the leak. So we did reach out with our whole plan for payment plan to help, kind of assist with an option. It's a one-time payment, because as you can see in the letter, the those amounts were quite high. It would have detected if it was a leak for a significant amount of time. They Randy Jeff, so they have mentioned that they feel it's something wrong on the township side, so we've been working with the media company, and hopefully in my next meeting we should have that confirmed and it can be provided at that time. Sorry, do you want to add anything to that?
No, Deputy Mayor Burt.
thank you for that. So basically, you're going to get, the data from the meter company to get some more information, because from this.
Yeah.
Decision or move ahead, so there'll be more information coming for the next meeting, or will that take a little while?
Do we hope to have it in the next meeting, so and operating the system of one what we had, so that usually get the instruction to do add them. All we did to add them, and then the last that we gather the information and we'll also be contact with Danny and Jeff at that time. That hours anything to both our solution will work back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I was just wondering, do we have a standard operating procedure to deal with leaks and how we identify them? If we do a house visit, do we just do a meter visit? Like, do we have something in place that this is what we do to deal with it, not just, okay. You know, I was just wondering what protocols we have in place to be able to deal with that in the first place.
When I speak to someone, I see when you can turn on the site.
Yeah, currently we don't have an SOP for responding to internal use of houses now. For unknown use of use.
So we do,
I didn't hear
I
him.
couldn't hear you. Russ.
Sorry, Adam, you're gonna have to come up here. We couldn't hear that.
currently, right now for responding for particularly getting this. Basically, take the call, provide some recommendations of dye tests, check softness, check the drain lines, and generate that resolve the issue. From situations in the past, we have not found a leak, but my opinion is once you start letting that toilet, moving it around, you might flip the chain back, the valve will seal better. Inner brakes or do some new brakes to break off that will seal it, so it's stop leaking, so you kind of by knowing when you resolve the issue, or finding the issue. You know, pass it to the needs.
Alrighty. Councillor Walsh.
So I'm just wondering, I know we provided this couple with some suggestions for that, one, which they will give reasons that they didn't want to go down that road because of animals. I'm wondering because we don't get a lot of these, do we? No, I'm wondering. To pencil worse, so we probably should have a standard operating procedure on this, because in my mind. Maybe we should be going to the house and checking it ourselves. See, because we know what to look for, right? Versus some residents like myself would probably not have a clue would start looking. And if it's a matter they don't want to do the dye tests, maybe other things that are there, something probably said, oh, that's probably what it is. I'm just wondering if that's something we should look at having, that if something like this happens in the future, that we, you know, once it's identified, boom, we're there, we check it, hopefully it resolves itself immediately. And we're not running into a situation. I appreciate that a couple's coming from, but it's kind of hard to always get all the information, you know, what they want.
Thank you for your, we don't do a lot of, we don't like to touch the funding people's houses. So
No.
we are suggest for us, at least suggest that the homeowner comments, homeowner to do an investigation.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, then we're not getting ourselves into something that we don't want to get into, but yeah, I think we should have something that's like, okay, when this happens, boom, you need to contact the plumber. If we decide, well, I don't want to contact the plumber and the bill keeps going high, then we've kind of done everything that we can to help them out, and we do get it resolved.
Just one comment. Where the service comes into the lot itself, Adam, you can check there to tell if it's leaking. You just can't tell what side it's on, correct? You can hear it.
Yes, I can hear it. So if you close the valve, the leak stops. That means the leak is on their side. If you close the valve, still hear the leak that it's on down to the side.
Right,
That wouldn't register the meter.
right, because the water isn't going through the meter, because the meter's in the house itself. Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Jordan.
3 years to Council Walsh's question too, we did communicate advantage number of times about potential reasons for a leak or something to look for that, which need to look at some functions. They did reply, just mentioned the following, they read the chat, so we don't have an SOP in place now. From an office standpoint, we do review the billing, high usage invoices, and that is communicated to Adam to reach out. In this case, once the invoices were sent,
to manage the day-to-day payments on the account. So it was assumed that they were aware of the costing of the invoice.
Right.
So we don't have been documented, and when we have through this process, we know to make sure that we will have something to look for. I am confident that we have communicated all with that, standpoint, and rather than from the standpoint, to kind of touch on all the points that.
Good.
Hopefully the data will kind of solidify the information that the board.
Okay. Any comments?
Want me to make a motion?
Sure.
I could make a motion to receive this letter and to,
Bring information.
yeah, bring back more information once the data dump is.
Seconder. Councillor Hodge Greaves. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, Jordan and Adam. Council, moving along to liaison reports. Deputy Mayor Burt.
We had our library meeting last night, and I believe that will be it until the fall. Just a reminder, if you have signed up for the Name That Tune fundraiser, it is Friday evening. And all the tables have been spoken for to this point. And I just wanted to let you know, the seniors funding has been received for 2026 into 2027, which is great news because
Good.
that funding window is not a calendar year. So basically that program has been operating a couple months, not knowing we get the funding. And I think that's an issue. I brought it up last night, just that process for funding. We've always said this to the province. We really need to have that sustainable funding and know that it's coming. And it, you know, we still have to do the same report, not we, the CIO has to do the same reporting and that sort of thing, but it would be nice to know if that was a multi-year funding. You know, we'll try to communicate that, but we've been doing that for quite a while. And we will be sending a thank you to Minister Cho for that funding and all the programs and looking at doing some sort of video content for that. So we'll be looking at that. Summer reading is just around the corner, so it's going to be busy. Programs continue to be busy. And then last night at 8 p.m. after we wrapped up the bulk of the meeting, we went to hospice they invited us there for a tour and just give a program overview. So it was very good. And they sent us with a bunch of flyers and that sort of thing on some of their programs. And one thing that I did not know about, and many of us in the room did not know about, they have a nurse liaison where if you are needing, and say you get a diagnosis of a pretty serious disease, you can immediately contact Asphodel-Norwood. They will put you in touch with a nurse that will help you navigate, a navigational nurse.
Yeah. Right
from the start, and it doesn't, you know, it can be all the way along as things change, and so that navigational nurse is a free service, and I did not know that, so that was very interesting to hear about. So a lot of programs there that are going on, so that was interesting. And then last week we had our county meeting. We had a municipal service study through EORN, looking at funding and developments and how we can get development going in the rural areas. We received it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty complex situation of funding, and basically it's trying to get services into rural areas where there are water and sewer services. Anyway, the study was complete, and you can certainly go on and look at that. We received it. There was a very detailed report on herbicide use on county properties. Very good information on noxious weeds, Phragmites, that sort of thing. But also in the county site, there's a platform for the spray program for noxious weeds, and it follows the same outline as the roads program, and you just go in there and you can highlight the township, what roads were sprayed, exact areas of what was used, what it was for, whether dog strangling, vine, poison ivy, whatever. So it's a very good platform. I went in there and played around with that. So that is available. There is some road rationalizations going on between Selwyn and the county. If you'll recall, last year sometime, the county came to talk about that. So some of that is starting, 3 different roads between Selwyn and the county, will be somewhat changing hands over the next couple of years. And then I'm sure you saw the report about the DC reduction program, where you have to sign on to it by June 19th. To me, that's just a whole lot of red flags that comes up. And there's still no word on the rural component of the DC charge reduction program. So again, that was received at this time. So, and I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, through your mayor, business advisor, maybe we actually met last evening. A couple of updates there. One is June 20th will be our next market from 8 till 12. Right now, we are sitting on 20 vendors coming to the event, which is awesome. Shannon, our market manager, has done an awesome job of that, so we'll keep that rolling along. And actually, August 1st, we have 22 vendors, September the 5th, 23 vendors, and our pilot doing one on the Thursday, September 24th, we have 18 vendors right now signed up. So market looks to be running along in great shape. Last night at BAC, we actually invited from the county, Tracy Berkland, Sarah Doug came out. Had a very informative meeting with them around tourism ideas, things we can do for our businesses, and also around economic development, things we do for business. One of the things I do want to note that Sarah mentioned is the week of June 22nd to the 26th, they're going to have 2 summer students that will be in our township, and the goal of that 2 students during that week is to help build a database of businesses in the community. So I'm wondering not only whether we can just get a little social post out advising businesses that if you have a couple students show up, please participate, because it really is valuable information that they will be able to gather to help us you know,
Our municipality and
our
the county as a
municipality,
whole.
the distribution list for newsletters, and other communications we want to send out. The thing I just want to mention is, Mayor Wilford and I attended the Teeny Tiny Summit in Bowie Falls. I also anticipated one online before that. I'm going to send the notes to everybody from those 2 events. Just something to think about, especially if you start looking at budgeting for next year. There's some really simple, easy, look and dirty things that we can do in town to really kind of promote our village and the surrounding area. And just lastly, from a grand opening event up at the medical center on July 4th, they are having a barbecue up there that day. And we will be doing a grand opening event for the eye care building. So BAC will be there with the red ribbon and we'll have a cutting ceremony. I've also reached out to Jack's, April's Diner, the 2 other businesses within April's Diner, and they'll all advise us when they're ready to do a grand opening. They just kind of wanted to get settled in a little bit before we've done that. And the other one I'm going to reach out to when I leave here today is when we done the ribbon cutting ceremony at the medical center, when it opened, the dentist wasn't open then. They're now open, so I'm going to
Tie them all together.
see if I can tie the 2 of them in on the same day, July 4th.
Good. Councillor Ward.
Thank you. I just had a question first to Councillor Walsh. I know that there was some work done with the BAC 2 years ago that we compiled a list of local businesses because we were doing that mapping. So would that be beneficial for the students to have, you know, that stuff that has already been done? Like why would
Good.
they reinvent the wheel when we have all that information available to them, and maybe they can add to that list that we started?
Good starting point.
Yeah, and so I just want to say that yesterday, we had our first scanning date at the Heritage Center. It went very well. I don't know, we were thinking of names to call it, like sip and scan, but people might think we're sipping something else other than coffee, so I'm not sure what the name will be. But we got through 1895, January edition of 1895 for the New York Register. So we finished 1 month of about
1 month.
70,000 more pages and whatever to go through. But that was pretty exciting to get it onto a hard drive, and we had a backup as well to save the documents, because
Yeah.
that'd be very awful if we saved it to one and we lost it. So
Yes.
anyways, that started. So that's all I have for that.
Okay. Councillor Hodge-Greaves.
Yeah, last week we had, the final meeting of the special events committee before Canada Day. Everything is still on track. Thank you to everyone who's donating or helping to coordinate things, so that's been very good. It will be July 1st at the town hall from 8 AM till 11 or till things are sold out. So, yeah, so it should be good.
Okay,
Just a question on that, if you need a hand from
They were,
any of us.
they were
to-
counting on you, for sure.
Okay, well, I know I'm finding the sweet stuff, sure, but no, like I,
Lori comes, she has an apron, so.
yeah, yes, I do have. Okay, I just putting it out there for whoever's available, because I know last year.
yeah,
It, they needed a hand with, clearing tables.
Yeah.
anything.
And that sort of thing, so, washing dishes, whatever, so.
I
Yeah,
just,
this year we are doing dishes for washing, so we do have student volunteers. That I think introverts can wash the dishes, extroverts can clear the room, so
Okay,
I think that'll work well, so yes, but thank you.
Okay.
Or Debbie.
and I'll make sure your sausages are cooked again.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to like them out of that machine for some reason. Myself, like Councillor Walsh said, we were at the Teeny Tiny Summit, very informative, like he had said, on different things that you can do in your municipality at a fairly reasonable cost without big expense. And it was sort of lined up with my meeting the next day with Minister Thompson, because the lady that was at the Teeny Tiny Summit is her assistant. It was more or less the identical as the Teeny Tiny Summit that I had just finished going to, and then I had drove up to Keswick for this. They did have a couple of things, but I'll just read you one question, and Barry, this just falls right into what was that Teeny Tiny Summit? Are there any recent success projects in your community? Like that was a question that was asked at the Teeny Tiny. Opportunities that you see for economic growth in your community. Restaurants and stuff that are opening up around that we haven't had. What's your biggest barriers in economic development in our area? And I just stated it's infrastructure. That's our big one right off the hop, whether it be infrastructure with the waste plant, infrastructure with our waste site. Like there's a lot of different issues that are coming online here, and they're going to come all at once, and that's going to be within the next couple of years. Because as you as a counselor that was on before, we thought a lot of this stuff was up to date, and then we found out that we're backpedaling and rushing. Habitat for Humanity, I was at one of their sponsored events on Saturday night, and we have two new residents, Matt Griffith and Abby Rayner. They actually live up in, they're renting up in the new subdivision, but they will be the first homeowners of the first one that's being built here. Habitat for Humanity, I think it's 149 in the next 5 to 7 years, homes they're hoping to try and have built in Peterborough County. I also had another meeting I was at, not much to explain on that. It's pretty self-explanatory, and that was the Peterborough County Disaster Trust Fund. I went on that board when Alec Davison asked me if I would go on it. A lot of times it's used in bad fires, things like that. When we were at the Teeny Tiny Summit, Sayres's grocery store up, and that was their main grocery store. And they had nothing but praise for this city county disaster trust fund. That's pretty much it, except for meetings, more meetings. I've got Fairhaven tomorrow. Go ahead.
Just to add again, a couple other interesting things that one of the Teeny Tiny Summit is, there was a lady there from the Absolute Seniors, after the Living Group. And she really was just talking about collaboration among groups and how they collaborate, the Lions, and whatever service groups are in town to help one another do different things and not overlapping, doing the same thing. They just get together quarterly to kind of just review what their plans are. So I thought that was just that collaboration idea was awesome. The other one that was really interesting, and at some point there will be tours available, is Curve Lake have an aquaponics program
Yes.
up there. but they're actually growing fish and food together. So the fish are swimming underneath and above, which are actually growing lettuce. They're using it as a revenue generator,
Yeah.
and a way to hire people. It is a really cool idea. And they said that once they get up and going a little bit more, that there will be opportunity for people to go and actually see it if they want. But yeah, it's kind of a good idea.
It was very good. Councillor Hodgkrees.
Okay, this more general business, but I see, talking about, it was circulated by email, the County Road 40 communications plan, just because, Jeff is still here, and that's on track to, that's not coming from us, is that coming from the contractor? The County Road 40 closure plans?
Yeah, through there. Just this morning, I've taken all the plans that we've received, the actual plans, all the contractor plans, and I've kind of refined them. In my opinion, residents don't care for using Ontario traffic manual 7 to lay out pedestrian walkways, they care about the my priority.
Right.
Yeah.
So I pulled a lot of the technical jargon out of theirs and refined it, and made our own out of everything. It's currently with, between Penn and myself, we're gonna, put it on our, and that's probably mailing that will Friday with utility bills. And then we'll use that as the basis of our own, so, I did reach out yesterday to the contractor, because I said, like, you know, the PC 54 signs they used to see, you know, this goes, we close, for the close. So that'll be a call, we'll start a signing job or signing closure. So I feel no matter what we do, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
You're gonna get.
So,
Right.
yeah, we're trying to keep it in their faces and get it there as much as possible. Mel did a great job on the information from yesterday, so it's out there. So yeah, the next step is the utility billing. I think it's just the fastest way, and then all of the village will get that, not just the residents. So everyone's aware of kind of what's happening, not just the bases.
Right.
I think that was probably the easiest way, and the fastest way to make it.
Thank you.
Jeff, just if you could double check when they put those signs up, make sure they're in a visible spot where somebody is pulling out of their laneway. That sign is not blocking their vision, because I know the one out on Highway 7, I've had a couple complaints from some neighbors there. If the sign was pushed out further, then they could see as they're backing out of their laneway, because some of them have hills they're coming down, and as they look, they don't really see traffic, and it's not very safe. All right, anybody else have anything else? Councillor Walsh?
Again, general business, just same question with Councilor Hodgkrees does. I had asked this week too, just regarding the pedestrian information, general information, and I'm like you, they don't need the technical stuff, but just want to know, where do I take the delivery to? How's it getting picked up? How's my recycle getting picked up? What do you listen drivers still living in? Those are things that are critical and important to people, so thank you very much for staying on top of that, and yeah, I think the water bill is a great way to get it out to everybody, maybe not just necessarily the only people impacted, so.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
There, just kind of, we discussed on, mapping, and we'll try to map, but we'll kind of word it as, feel free to use any of the other township concessions to get rid of people, just to leave it open blanket and not direct people to certain roads outside of the detour, so we just kind of, like a state house.
Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor Burt?
Thank you. I actually have a fun one.
Yeah,
So yeah, just under general business. As we know, 3 Days Grace was here when we did the unveiling of the sign. And after that, they went and did all of their video work, and I just see that that video is being released on Thursday.
Yeah.
And so that will be interesting to see, because I'm sure we'll see some important landmarks and that sort of thing, so.
I could build on that, actually, I got a sneak preview of it on the weekend. Yeah, you will recognize a lot of, so they're gonna play that, so that video will be part of that song that they have about being around here. And it's like the water tower, the high school, all our local landmarks, the places where they hung out as kids when they're here, so, yeah, the sign, Holly, your lovely shirt.
I
That you
saw,
had on that
I
day.
saw the preview.
Awesome.
So
So
embarrassing.
you're gonna be a superstar. People will be calling for autographs, and that was awesome to see. It's, yeah, it's pretty exciting. Cause they're over in Europe right now, and I follow them all the time. It's like they're in stadium for 75,000-80,000 people. basically.
in Germany,
Yeah,
I seen it.
Awesome, good for them.
Good. Councillor War.
Thank you, you, Mayor. I have a couple of things. One, David Pacini has his third annual, and I didn't realize it was already 3 years, senior seminar. And it's on June 22nd. It's in Coburg. And I was thinking about our SVP to attend. We have to do that by June 15th. And I was wondering if anyone around the table would also be attending, maybe we carpool, that could be later. But I think that might be something interesting to attend. I was at the passport office yesterday, getting my passport renewal. And a few years ago, we did have Service Canada come, and they did all the things that they do for the community. And so I picked up the girl that was helping me with my passport, like all of the local numbers and things that the apprenticeship, Canadian pension plan, OAS, employment insurance. And they have all these numbers that sometimes I think that we struggle to get, to find the information on like 1 or 2 pages. And it would be really nice if we could reach out, and even if we can't get our MP here, even if we could have a Service Canada Day again, where people can come in and, apply for their old age security or their CPP or get their passport. It might be something.
Maybe we can ask the NPP about coming here for that.
Yes, if that's possible. So anyways, that was just something else. And the third thing, if I may.
Yes.
There was a hydro brand that I saw that came out on June 1st or 2nd. And I saw that there was a kind of a cutoff date for June 30th. And I was wondering if there was any, okay.
I have it. I've talked to Daryl a wee bit about it. I'm going to show it to Daryl. I was just talking to him about it. It's different things that you can apply for in the community. Backup generators, for an example. If you can remember a few years ago that we did not apply for that hydro one, which everybody else did get, that 15,000. This is one for 25,000. Jordan has been talking to them as early as this morning.
That's really Mayor. So I had a meeting with a couple of the advisors this morning, to know potential options. They mentioned just really stressing the emergency management side of things. Less so than say maybe the day-to-day. If you do look at a backup generator, some sort of piece of equipment, really focusing on who's going to maintain it long term and where it's sitting, private facility versus municipal home facility. They want to ensure that if it is emergency management focus like they want, it ties to our just financial plans we have in your capital plans. So they did make a few recommendations about reaching out to the Peterborough contacts and the county contacts, and I'll mention to fire chief as well. And also willing to look at our application at a time to the narrative for now. So we can make a decision on what we'd like to do for our submission. I can draft something and we can get it sent away to them and have review.
Yeah. We'll talk with all the managers before it goes in, but it will be in there before the deadline. This is sort of opened up with the council liaison reports to general business. Does anybody else have any other general business? Councillor Walsh.
Just one more thing, actually, when Sarah and Tracy were at our meeting last night, they brought a brochure that I'm gonna leave with my little township office. It's just the top 10 things to do in the Corpus. Another thing that really reinforced last night is if local businesses are promoting, don't just promote their own business, promote Asphodel-Norwood, promote the Corpus, because that's what people will jump and look for. So, and on the back is the top 10 things that you can do in our area. So.
Good. Anybody else? Anybody heard anything new on Alto? I haven't heard anything new. It's sort of gone quiet, but
See if there's any tomorrow, PCFA.
PCF, yeah.
Something there, so
Yeah.
let's see.
Councillor Walsh?
Sorry, one more thing, I just forgot to mention, unfortunately, due to work commitments, I will miss the June 23rd meeting.
Okay.
corporate event and then to attend, and July 28th, I will actually get a work event in Winnipeg, so just get well funded.
Is that from the 23rd to 28th?
No, June 23rd, and I was.
All right. I didn't know how well this company was gonna look after you.
Yeah, good work commitments.
Okay, all right, so that's general business. Council, we're now gonna move into a closed session pursuant to section 239, section 2B of the Municipal Act, and the time is 2:45 PM. May I get a motion to move into close, please? Councillor Walsh, Deputy Mayor Burt, all in favor? Motion's carried. So we're back. We are back in our open session and the time is 3:04 PM. Council, may I get a motion directing staff to follow the direction given in closed session? Councillor Walsh and Deputy Mayor Burt, all in favor? The motion is carried. No notice of motion today, so we'll move right along to the bylaws now.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. That the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood held June 9, 2026, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered 2026-25.
Councillor Hodge-Greaves, Deputy Mayor Burt, all in favor? Motion's carried. All right, council, your future meeting schedule has been provided, and that includes our business for today. May I get a motion for adjournment, and the time is 3:05. Councillor War and Councillor Hodge-Greaves, all in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, council.